Welcome to another Good e-Reader comparison video. My name is Marcus.
This is Peter.
And today we're going to check out the Nook Simple Touch Reader versus the Kindle Touch. Both of these are the first touchscreen e-ink readers released by both companies. They have a fair bit in common. You can check out that they both have 6-inch displays. They have the same resolution too, 600 by 800. They differ on a few levels. First of all, Nook Simple Touch runs Android 2.1, where the Kindle Touch only runs Linux. The processor speeds are different as well. The Simple Touch only has 600 megahertz, where the Kindle Touch has 800. Storage capacity is different as well. You only have 2 gigs on the Simple Touch, where you have 4 gigs on the Kindle Touch. The advantage though that you have on this is that you can expand the memory up to 32 gigs via the micro SD. So this is one of the biggest storage capacities in the business, and this makes us very happy. This only comes in Wi-Fi, whereas this has 3G variants for internet speed, and you can see that we actually do have a 3G version of this. It obviously increased the costs, but that's what you get. RAM, they both have 256 MB of RAM, so the RAM is fairly consistent, and that's mainly just on a hardware level. We're going to dive in and test, put these two head to head, so if you're thinking about getting either of them, we're going to test the virtues. So Peter, why don't you show us 360 and compare the hardware to each other?
Alright, so let us start with the Kindle Touch. You'll notice that they have this weird looking thing that you haven't seen on any Kindles before. I don't know if this is going to be a common trend for every Kindle that's going to come after this, but this is much like the N. It is a home screen. Barnes & Noble has been using this N on pretty much all their devices, including the Nook Wi-Fi, Nook 3G, and the Nook tablet, and the Color, whereas Kindle hasn't used this 4-stripe thing until this model. They're both the home buttons, so they will bring you back to the home screen, much like the Apple key on an iPad. Looking on the bottom of the Kindle Touch, you have a micro USB cable for transferring data and charging your device. You have status indicator lights. You have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and a power button to lock and unlock the device. Moving on to the back, you have stereo speakers. This is something the Nook Simple Touch does not have. It doesn't have internal audio or external, and the Kindle Touch here has 2 speakers which are very clear and very crisp, so I'm really glad they included speakers here. They may look like they're on the back, but in fact they're on this curved kind of thumbnail part, so they're not going to get too muffled by however way you hold it. No buttons on the sides, no buttons on the top. Everything is done on the touchscreen. Moving over to the Nook Simple Touch, you have a couple more buttons on the front than the Kindle Touch. You have the N button, as well as some page turn and navigation buttons. This is something they got rid of on the Amazon Kindle Touch, although I'm not sure why, because every other Kindle has kind of come with these page turn buttons, because that's, well, to turn pages like a book. I'm kind of confused as to why they got rid of it on the Kindle Touch. They already have audio, 3G speakers, headphone jacks, so it's not like they're trying to keep weight down. You'll notice that it's a nice rounded design, much different than the Kindles. Looking onto the back, you have a nice rubber backing, very good grip, very high quality. You have a power button on the top used to lock the device and power it on and off. Nothing on the sides, nothing on the top. No speakers. These are not speakers. These are just design points. Micro USB slot on the bottom for transferring data, charging the device, and as we showed you earlier, a micro SD card slot.
So the big differences, of course, are price. The Simple Touch Reader is really priced aggressively, under $100, where the Kindle Touch is about $150, but they have different models, like I said, with the Wi-Fi, the 3G, and then both special offers versions. So they really do try to broaden the spectrum and appeal to most demographics in terms of like price points and things like that. Overall, build quality, I think the Amazon Kindle Touch is a little bit more slicker. I do like a lot of the added functionality. In retrospect, it is heavier, and the Nook Simple Touch is significantly significantly lighter. So I like the fact that the Simple Touch is a little bit more portable and it has less features. Most people buy e-readers just to read. I know when I have an e-reader, I tend not to listen to audiobooks or music. I just like to read. And so I think the Simple Touch fits into my lifestyle a little bit more. Looking at the home screens, you can see this is the home screen. I really like the way that Barnes & Noble's organized it, where the Kindle Touch is very minimalist. They really have not changed their home screen layout for about 2 or 3 different generations. If you have a Kindle from 3 years ago, it's pretty well the same. This is the Kindle 4th generation, the same. So I do like the added color, the ability to check out new books as well as new reads, things that you're reading right now, and so on. So let's check out the ebook experience on both devices. So we're just gonna fire up a book right now.
Ooh.
And we're going to test some things out, like how you can edit your ebook experience and page turn speed and so on. We have 2 books open right now, and on a count of 3 we're just going to test out how it looks. So we're going to scroll forward here on a count of 3. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. So
About the same.
yeah, about the same. And again, you can see I'm hitting actually the page turn buttons on the Simple Touch. I can also click on the side here like Peter's doing to turn the pages. And people may like to do that. You can also kind of swipe as well. There's different ways that you can kind of interact with it. Now, let's check out, say my eyesight's maybe not so good. I want to increase the font on here. All you do is simply tap the middle of the screen, much like you would on most Android devices. And
on the Kindle Touch, you'll need to tap anywhere on... Oh, I have exited the book. Let's just go back. And on the Kindle Touch, you tap anywhere on the top of the device, and it will bring up the menu.
Okay, so we're going to look at X-Ray in a minute because that's very new, but let's just check out how we can augment our text. So I hit the text button, and you can see both devices display it a little bit differently. What I like about the Simple Touch is the amount of different fonts that you could use. Whereas with the Kindle, you really only have like the regular typeface and 2 different ones. They don't really do a whole lot. Whereas this really changes your experience. Same with, I think that this layout is a little bit more intuitive because, margins. It gives you visual cues on how it would look before you actually even do it. So I can do that. I can change this. And you can see that it is kind of updating in real time, but it is taking like a little bit to do. Whereas the Kindle Touch, a lot of the updates are done in real time. There really isn't any type of lag or anything like that. So the Nook Simple Touch lags a little bit, but I think it makes up for it in its overall more intuitive layout. And it has, I think, a little bit more features than the Kindle Touch.
I would kind of agree, at least with the ebook experience. More importantly, there is also publisher defaults on the Nook Simple Touch that does not exist on this menu of the Kindle Touch 3G or Wi-Fi. And this is good for the publisher defaults. Basically means the books, whoever released the book, they have a specific customized menu of how you're supposed to read the book, whereas Amazon doesn't really give you that option.
Yeah, they have like embedded custom styling sheets or CSS. So this is how mainly your experience looks here. On the Kindle Touch, we saw a little thing called X-Ray, and this is one of the cool new features on it. Simply what it does is it gives you a layout of popular... you see all items, people, or terms. Mainly, you could see how popular a particular character is in a book. So, without really even knowing the name of the book, you could see that Rachel Case is pretty well the main protagonist because she's mentioned all throughout the book. Where Sam Case, you could see, is a very major character. Where if you maybe look at Callie Carpenter, not mentioned at all at the beginning or only really touched on at the end. So let's just click on her and you can actually see some information, how she was referenced, in what context, and so on. With the main characters, they'll have biographies listed at the beginning that kind of tell you a little bit about it. So this is perfect for people that might be reading a book and then get distracted by, say the new Steve Jobs biography, and then maybe come to this book a month later or 3 weeks later, be on page 300 and be like, who are these characters? What exactly is going on? So this could really tell you, and a lot of it is crowdsourced through Amazon with a service that they have. So it's pretty kind of cool. And you could see here that you could do Wikipedia lookups and like all this type of stuff. So I think this is one of the most endearing features. Kindle, better internet experience. With the Nook Simple Touch, you do have to do a workaround through the main search bar in order to access the internet. Let's just check out like the store layouts pretty quick, because this is something that like everybody's gonna look at when they're checking out their e-reader. Again, you saw it kind of like we hit the end and it brought up a little menu here. I like that. I find that it's a little bit easier to do that than this just bringing you home and having to navigate in the menu system manually.
I would highly agree. This is kind of a go-to button. No matter what application you're in, you're always going to see these 5 squares: home, library, shop, search, and settings, and they just do oh so much, and they're very important.
Yeah. So let's just check out the shop. And you can just see the way that the two stores are laid out. You can see that the Amazon it fits a lot here, whereas here it's, this a lot of space isn't really doing too much. Although you can click on here and see, different options.
I think they clutter it too much with this half a screen spotlight ad, whereas they have much more better use of the screen on the Amazon Kindle. You can see that everything's more informative rather than picture advertisement driven there.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do like the way that just looking at the main screen, I think it's a little bit more intuitive. If you were to say click on this book and I were to like click on that book, you can see that they're fairly common. They both give like free samples, wish lists, and things like that.
I think the free sample is a lot more evident on the Simple Touch, because it's right next to the buy in the exact same formatted kind of button, whereas it's not very clear here. It's kind of right there. Try a sample, underlined, kind of different from the buy. So,
and I think if you have one-click shopping on an Amazon, I think you could easily, with the touch screen, misclick.
yes.
Where instead of trying to sample, you're actually buying the book, and before you know it, you've bought a few books.
They put them that close on purpose. You can tell the size of my finger. If I was gonna try to buy that and I one click try to buy a sample of it, I end up purchasing the book. So
yeah, totally. So a lot of these have similarities, but they do have differences. I would say the Kindle Touch, especially the 3G version, just has a lot more features. So if audio makes a big difference to you, being able to pinch and zoom PDFs, which you can do with the Kindle Touch, but you can't do with the Nook Simple Touch. So I would say this is better for the PDF experience. This is a little lackluster, mainly because the only thing that you could do with PDFs here is change the font size, and maybe quickly we'll just show you what I'm talking about. So with the Kindle Touch, you can pinch and you can zoom, and you could really flow your experience. It doesn't have any reflow options or anything like that. With the Nook Simple Touch, you can't really interact with it via the touch screen. You just basically control the font and then change the pages.
And when that happens, you can tell it doesn't really get formatted that well. You either can't read it, and then you go up a step, and it becomes far too big for the screen size. So whereas this, you can kind of cater it inch by inch to whatever size you want it to be.
Totally. So we've showed you pretty well everything there is to really show you on a fundamental level with both of these devices. If you want to see more extensive reviews, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/goodyreader, or you can check out reviews of both of these devices on our tech blog at goodyreader.com/blog. And you have just watched a video comparison of the new Kindle Touch versus the Nook Simple Touch Reader for goodyreader.com. My name is Marcus.
And this is Peter.
Everybody take care.